Every year I'm like, I'm gonna make it through a couple months without buying books before I do my first book haul of the year, and yet here we are. Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. Today I'm giving you a good old classic book haul. These are a lot of books that I bought at the end of 2023 and also at the beginning of 2024. I have a mix of literary fiction, non-fiction, and some new releases that I'm really excited about. And a lot of books that I have bought recently but I'm not gonna haul in this video are books that I'm reading for my vlog where I read booktubers' favorite books of 2023. So that video is coming out next week, so stay tuned, but today I'll go through all the rest of the books. Now, as always, if you enjoy my videos and you like what I'm doing here, please go hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you want to get some extra exclusive content from me, then definitely go check out my bindery community down below. It's a lovely little community of my viewers who want to help support me, and in exchange they get some extra exclusive content from me, including monthly TBR videos, weekly journal updates, updates on the vlogs that I'm doing, the secret TBRs that I have, and also monthly Zoom hangouts just to chill, chat, and do some reading sprints. So if any of that is interesting or exciting, definitely go check out my bindery community down below. And if you're not interested in any of that, the bindery community also has exclusive videos about the publishing process with my imprint, Boundless Press. So part of the subscription that you pay also goes towards this publishing imprint, and I'm currently going through many submissions so I can find the perfect book to publish with my imprint. There are already several episodes of the submissions process on my bindery now, so if you want to get exclusive access to those, definitely go check it out. Okay, so first up, I have the book club pick for the Boundless Press book club, which is my book club that I run over on Fable. If you haven't joined already, go check it out down below. Every month we read a book by a BIPOC or marginalized author and we discuss on the app Fable. Fable is really awesome because there's a little chat room for every chapter of the book, so you can discuss the book without spoiling anyone. And it's also got an interactive e-reader on the app so that you can highlight and add reactions and do all of this in a form of social reading with the other members of the club. So our February book club pick is A Woman Is No Man by Ataf Rum. I recently read Evil Eye by Ataf Rum and I absolutely loved it. More thoughts to come in my January wrap up. But this is, I believe, her debut novel and I'm so excited to pick it up because so many people have told me it's even better than Evil Eye. It involves a dual timeline and again a Palestinian American main character and also taps into similar themes of generational trauma. If this at all seems interesting to you, then definitely go check out the book club on Fable and read along with us. Now, the second book that I bought was also a contender for the book club pick for February, and that was All the Lovers in the Night by Mieko Kawakami. I've heard so many things about this author and I've been meaning to pick up one of her books. She is a Japanese author and this is a translated fiction. So it's definitely going to help me hit my goal of reading more translated fiction. But essentially this book, from what I know, is kind of one of those like sad hot girl books. Not much plot, mostly vibes. And it essentially follows this freelance copywriter in her 30s who is kind of looking at her life and realizing that it's not what she wanted and she wants to change it, and so she goes on a journey to do so. And then the next book that I grabbed is also by Mieko Kawakami and it's Breast and Eggs. I have seen this book around everywhere for ages. Like every time I went to the bookstore I saw it on some table and I was like, I really want to pick this one up. I really want to read it. But it was like a big thick book and I was like, you know what, maybe I won't get to it. But I finally bit the bullet and grabbed it and I'm so excited to pick it up. It has been described as being a striking portrait of contemporary working class womanhood, and it follows 3 different women in this working class neighborhood in Tokyo. Again, this is a translated fiction, so it's going to help me hit that goal. And I've overall just heard people wax poetic about this author's writing. All right, and then the last literary fiction book that I grabbed was The Idiot by Elif Batuman. I remember this book sort of going viral on Book Talk, so I knew I had to pick it up at some point. And it's set in 1995 and it follows the daughter of some Turkish immigrants. And she's in her freshman year at Harvard and she sort of gets entangled with these 2 different people, Svetlana and Ivan, and the story sort of goes from there. From what I can tell, it's one of those books that sort of talks about being on the cusp of adulthood and adulting in a sort of literary tone. And I've also heard this book be described as one of those hot sad girl books, which is a subgenre that I absolutely love, so I'm excited to pick this one up. But I do feel like this is one of those polarizing books that people either love or hate, so I'm curious to see which of those I'll be. Okay, now before I get into the next book rec, I do want to preface all of this by saying that, you know, just because I'm buying books doesn't mean you have to be out here buying books. You can be grabbing books from the library. Support your local libraries. I used to read exclusively from my libraries and it was a great way to get books without paying for them. However, if you are a collector like me, if you are an adult with disposable income and nothing better to do than reading, then maybe you want to grab some hardcover books for a cheap price. And this is where I tell you that the sponsor of today's video can help you out Book of the Month. Book of the Month is this awesome online book service for readers, and its mission is to help readers find the books that they're gonna love and also promote the work of emerging authors. As I just told you, one of my favorite things about Book of the Month is that you can get new release hardcover books for a very affordable price. And the way it works is that each month the Book of the Month team curates a selection of books, and each month you can choose to grab one of those in your Book of the Month box, and you can choose to add on additional books from previous months or, you know, the other add-on picks to your Book of the Month box if you choose. Book of the Month also comes with a really convenient free app where you can look through the different selections and sort them by tags. And if you're not interested in getting a hardcover book, you can also opt to use your credit for the month to grab the audiobook from Book of the Month. So for February, if this is your first time checking out Book of the Month, then you can get your first book for only $9.99 with the code SMOOCH. That is an incredible price for a new release hardcover book, and if I may be so bold, I can recommend 2 books that you might want to grab from the selections this month. I grabbed The Mayor of Maxwell Street by Avery Cunningham. This is a historical fiction set in Prohibition-era Chicago, and it follows a rich black debutante who enlists the help of a low-level speakeasy manager to identify the head of an underground crime syndicate. It's been described as an epic love story and a riveting historical drama, so I cannot wait to pick this one up. And then I also chose one of the add-ons, which is Neighbors and Other Stories by Diane Oliver, and this is a bold and haunting short story collection that is written by an actual black author from the 20th century, and each of the stories follows various characters as they deal with the day-to-day perils of Jim Crow racism. This book also features an introduction written by Tyree Jones, who is the author of An American Marriage, one of my favorite books ever, so I'm super excited to check this out. So if either of those were interesting to you, definitely go check out Book of the Month and grab your first box for only $9.99 with the code SMOOCH. Alrighty, next up I also grabbed some historical romances that I'm so excited to read. So I grabbed more books by Diana Quincy. I mentioned her in a bunch of my previous videos, but I recently read The Duke Gets Desperate by her, which is the first book in a new series by her, but this is one of her older series. It's called the Clandestine Affairs series, and these are all companion novels that each follow a Arab main character or a Palestinian main character. And so far I've read Her Night with the Duke, and I am currently reading The Viscount Made Me Do It, and then after that I'm hoping to pick up The Marquess Makes His Move. The first book in the series was just absolutely fantastic. It's a historical romance, but it has a BIPOC main lead, so it makes it a little bit more interesting in my opinion, and honestly just delivers on all of the like historical romancy vibes. It's a little bit over the top, but it's really cute. It's got steamy scenes in it and just scratches that itch, you know? On a similar note, while I was shopping for historical romances, I realized that a lot of them were quite straight and cis, and so I put out a search for some sapphic historical romances, and I found The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. Based on the reviews, it seems like it's going to be a good one. It's a sapphic romance, historical romance, and honestly, that's all I really need to know to start reading this, so I'm hyped to see what I think of this. Alrighty, next up I have a bunch of new releases that have recently come out and that I had pre-orders for and I immediately knew I needed to grab. So the first is The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. This is the 3rd book in the Atlas 6 series. I absolutely love the first book. Have I read the second one though? No. Did I buy this anyway? Yes. I absolutely love the whole cast of characters from the first book, and even though I haven't read the second book yet, I know that I'll want to know how the story ends with them, so I knew I had to grab the last book. If you haven't read the Atlas 6 or don't know what it's about, it's essentially this like contemporary fantasy that follows these several different characters with magical abilities who are called together to this secret society slash school for magic users who are supposed to protect this wealth of magical knowledge, and they're essentially all competing to become the new protectors or curators. It's a dark academia-esque series with magical powers and a very diverse set of main characters. Next, I have Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. At the end of 2023, I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which is the first book in this series, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is the coziest, most adorable fantasy. It's very low stakes, but has a very endearing main character and a really cute romance, and their story continues in this book. I don't know where the story's gonna go with the second book, but I am just so excited to see more of Emily and Wendell. They are 2 characters that just live rent-free in my mind, and I just want to see more of them. Like, they are just so cute, and I could read like endless hours of fanfic about them. Speaking of fantasy romances and low-stake fantasies, the next book that I have is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. I believe this book was originally self-published or like ebook only published. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but it is now being traditionally published, and this this book is the first in a whole series of books, and I believe the 2 others in the series are coming out later this year. But this is the first book, and it's a fantasy romance. It's low stakes, and on the back it says, Spice Trader Cinnamon's quiet life is turned upside down when she ends up on a quest with a fiery demon in this irreverently quirky rom-com fantasy that is sweet, steamy, and funny as hell. All of that sounds like freaking amazing, and it just seems like it's gonna be such a fun fantasy romance, so I cannot wait to pick this one up. Alright, and then the last new release that I picked up is The Breakup Tour by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is a contemporary romance, and I've actually read the roughest draft by these authors before, which was like a writer romance. It was fun, I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but it was really enjoyable. And if you didn't know, the 2 authors are actually a married couple, which I think is adorable. But this book essentially follows a rising star musician who basically rekindles a romance with an old flame because she releases this song about him, and her ex-husband, who is not the original ex, thinks that it's about him, and so she contacts her old flame in order to set the story straight and sort of stop her ex-husband from thinking it's about him. But what really got me excited about this book is that one of the blurbs says this one is for the Swifties, which, as you know, I'm a huge Swiftie, and any book that is for the Swifties is for me. Even the little tagline at the back says, a rising star musician has a second chance at love with an old flame she remembers all too well. I'm here for all the Swiftie hints, and I'm so excited to pick this one up. Alrighty, and then the last set of books that I have are a bunch of non-fiction books. So first up I have Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Davis, Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundations of a Movement. I've talked about this book before, I have read it already, and I wanted to just pick up a physical copy of it. If you want my full review on it, go check out my December wrap up, but this is essentially like a series of essays and like speeches that Angela Davis has given, and they're essentially about all these different topics listed in the title. And then because I love that, I also decided to grab a Women, Race, and Class by Angela Y. Davis. This again tackles very similar topics, but is specifically looking at it through feminism, and I've heard just amazing things about this book, and I've been meaning to pick it up for ages. The next book that I grabbed is Talking to My Daughter About the Economy, or How Capitalism Works and How It Fails by Yanis Varoufakis. I read this at the end of 2023 and absolutely loved it. It's a nonfiction book where Yanis Varoufakis, who is the former finance minister of Greece, talks about the economy and capitalism and how all that works through this very approachable language and in a way as if he's talking to his daughter. It's one of those nonfiction books that's really engaging and super easy to understand. And what I loved about this book is that the author uses a lot of like literary references to talk about themes of capitalism and how parts of the capitalist system came to be. And he also talks about how literature from those eras sort of were shaped by the economic situation of the time. Super interesting read, and will only take you about a few hours to read, so I highly recommend it. On a very similar note, I kind of on a whim grabbed Capitalism, A Ghost Story by Arundhati Roy. This is a very famous South Asian author, and I've been meaning to read their books for ages, but this is sort of a short non-fiction about the state of capitalism and how it's affected India in specific. On the back it says the book examines the dark side of democracy in contemporary India and shows how the demands of globalized capitalism have subjugated billions of people to the highest and most intense forms of racism and exploitation. I feel like this is going to be a really interesting and eye-opening read, so I cannot wait to pick it up. And then next I have The 100 Years' War on Palestine, A History of Settler Colonialism and Resistance by Rashid Khalidi. I started this at the end of last year and I'm still in the middle of it, but this is a really fantastic and comprehensive history of Palestine and the several Zionist forces that brought Israel to be and brought the current situation in Palestine to be. And it's all written in a very straightforward and easily understandable manner. So if you're looking to understand more about what's going on in Palestine right now, then I highly recommend picking this up. Alrighty, and then the final book that I have to haul is actually a new release, but it's a non-fiction, and that is Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal. This is the new productivity book, you know, self-help book by Ali Abdaal, who, if you didn't know, is a massive YouTuber here. I've been following his channel for years now, and I've found a lot of his videos to be really helpful. And I think one thing I really love about Ali Abdaal's approach to productivity is just the idea of trying to feel good with the things that you're doing. As in, you're always going to be more motivated to do something if you can find the joy in the journey. This book essentially maps that idea, how to do more of what matters to you, and I'm excited to pick it up and see what I think of it. And with that, those are all of the books that I wanted to haul right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, and let me know if there are any books on this list that you think I should prioritize advertise ASAP. I'm super excited about all of these new releases and nonfiction that I now have to dig into, so cannot wait for all the reading to come. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and definitely go check out my Instagram, Goodreads, TikTok, and bindery community down below, and definitely go take advantage of that book of the month deal. You can grab your first box for only $9.99 with the code SMOOCH. Anyways, that's all I have to say. I'll see you guys in my next video, and please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!